Lisbon was among Europe's wealthiest, most powerful, and dazzling cities. But on a fateful morning, November 1st, 1755, this grand capital faced three successive catastrophes. A quake, tsunami, and fire nearly obliterated it. How did it recover? Today, we will journey back to 18th century Lisbon. We'll see it during its era of greatest splendor. We'll understand the sources of its wealth, explore various neighborhoods, experience life there, and witness the very day everything changed forever. This isn't just the story of a beautiful city, it's about one of the world's great capitals. At the exact moment it transformed from a grand Baroque city into a modern one. In the early 18th century, Lisbon had about 200,000 residents, ranking among Europe's largest cities. Its Atlantic location made it a prime hub for maritime trade, and its port was one of the world's busiest. To Lisbon, goods arrived from Brazil, Africa, Asia, and other European harbors. These included gold, sugar, tobacco, ivory, timber, spices, and porcelain. Lisbon was not a peripheral city. It formed one of the great centers of its era's global economy. Yet beneath that splendor lay a massive contradiction. Lisbon functioned as a global capital, but largely retained an inherited, almost medieval structure. This meant narrow streets, dense neighborhoods, and issues with supply and sanitation. It was a very rich city, yes, but not a city that was orderly or comfortable. To truly understand Lisbon in 1750, one must begin with the river. The Tagus wasn't merely a picturesque landscape. It was the city's very foundation. Everything moved through it. The river connected Lisbon to the Atlantic, and the Atlantic linked Lisbon to half the world. Merchant ships, warships, sailors, officials, and travelers were all part of the daily rhythm of a city that thrived facing the water. Much of the wealth sustaining Lisbon, the discovery of vast gold deposits in Minas Gerais in the late 17th century, profoundly reshaped the finances of the Portuguese Empire. This gold strengthened the crown, funded numerous projects, fueled court luxury, and made Lisbon a more opulent capital. However, it wasn't just Brazil. Portuguese connections with Africa and Asia remained vital, providing routes for high-value products that kept Lisbon at the heart of an Atlantic and global network. So, if one arrived in the city by river, the impression would be powerful. The Ribeira Palace stood prominently right there. For over 2 centuries, it served as the kingdom's royal residence and political center. But it was more than just a ceremonial place. It also functioned as an administrative hub, amassing documents, records, maps, and books, which formed part of the Portuguese Empire's material memory. The city exhibited deep religiosity. It was filled with churches, convents, bells, processions, and ceremonies. Faith was neither secondary nor a private matter. It constituted a key part of the city's public rhythm. In a city like this, the major temples were not simply places of worship. They functioned as symbols of prestige and stability. Yet, this religiosity coexisted with a far less benevolent aspect. In the 18th century, the Portuguese Inquisition remained active. Rocio Square, now one of Lisbon's most renowned and frequented areas, had served as a stage for auto da fe and public punishments. This reveals a very significant tension. Lisbon was extensively connected globally by both trade and oceanic routes. While open to global exchange, it was more closed regarding social control and the spread of ideas. Then there was the daily life of most residents. In neighborhoods like Alfama, the street felt like a home extension. Homes were small, space was scarce, and many daily tasks were performed outdoors. Selling, conversing, cooking, carrying water, climbing up and down steep streets. Lisbon faced structural problems with its supply, and for a long time, it depended on public sources, water carriers, and manual transport to meet basic needs. From the river, Lisbon could appear solid, monumental, and even majestic. Internally, however, it was largely composed of an uneven urban fabric, highly flammable, and offered few ample spaces for escape if anything went awry. This brings us to the decisive moment, November 1, 1755. It was All Saints' Day. Many churches were full, altars were prepared, candles lit, and a significant portion of the population attended religious services. Lisbon experienced a solemn morning as one of the most significant festivities on the Catholic calendar unfolded. Then, at approximately 9:40 in the morning, the earth began to tremble. An earthquake, estimated between magnitude 8.5 and 9.0, shook Lisbon for about 6 minutes, leading to the collapse of most stone buildings, including churches, monasteries, convents, and chapels, trapping the numerous faithful who were inside. Within minutes, Lisbon descended into chaos. Many survivors logically ran towards open spaces away from buildings, seeking escape to the Tagus riverbank. By the water, there seemed to be more room to flee the destruction. The most dramatic aspect of this situation was that the worst was yet to come. On the riverbank, many people began noticing something strange. The water was receding. Shortly after, the second blow struck, a tsunami. An immense wall of water rose from the sea. The powerful tsunami's waves, ranging from 6 to 15 meters high, swept over the Atlantic coast. The tsunami ravaged Lisbon, penetrating several kilometers inland. Water surged through the Tagus estuary, inundating the very heart of the city and sweeping away everything in its path. Many who sought refuge in squares and on quays were ultimately trapped by the onslaught of waves and drowned. The effects of the tremor and subsequent tsunami were so powerful that the waters also reached the coasts of southern Portugal, Spain, and North Africa. Yet the third blow was still pending. Candles lit in churches and homes, exposed timber, and open kitchens after the tremor allowed fire to spread uncontrollably for days. This was due to massive debris and the city's disorganization. For days, Lisbon burned amidst chaos, battered by waves. That unique combination made the Lisbon disaster so terrifying. It was not a single catastrophe, but 3 successive ones. An estimated 60,000 to 100,000 people perished in total, many in Lisbon. A huge portion of the city vanished. Among the lost, most memorable were the Ribeira Palace, the Royal Library, and a vast quantity of documentation linked to the history of the Portuguese Empire. The Carmo convent, whose broken silhouette can still be seen today, became one of the clearest symbols of that devastation. The destruction of a profoundly Catholic city, filled with churches and struck precisely on a sacred holiday, sparked immense debates among philosophers and thinkers across the continent. The leading figure of the reconstruction was Sebastião José de Carvalho e Melo, the future Marquis of Pombal. He grasped a fundamental truth. Simply rebuilding Lisbon as it was wouldn't suffice. It needed redesigning. Instead of repeating the old network of narrow, disordered streets, he championed a new, wider urban center, more geometric and rational. Thus, the Baixa Pombalina was born, becoming one of Europe's major 18th century urban projects. Here, solutions were implemented to better resist future earthquakes. Among these was the Pombaline cage, an internal wooden structure designed to provide elasticity and distribute stress within buildings. The new city aimed to establish order where chaotic conditions had previously prevailed. This transformation is nowhere more evident than in the Praça do Comércio. A sizable square emerged in the former location of the Ribeira Palace, which boasted an organized layout and facilitated both commerce and traffic flow. Lisbon, prior to 1755, had been a grand Baroque capital. It was affluent, deeply religious, socially unequal, and still quite shaped by an inherited urban layout. Rebuilt Lisbon, however, became distinct. A city more logical, expansive, more geometric, and mindful of its inherent vulnerabilities. It merely endured. It profoundly evolved.